With his final public appearances, court hearings via video link from the harsh Arctic prison colony where he was serving a 19-year sentence, dissident leader Alexei Navalny kept up his criticism of the Putin regime, never losing his trademark sense of humor. Navalny's fate, death at the notorious Polar Wolf facility that was once part of Stalin's Gulag system, was one that he himself saw coming, but it didn't keep him from his mission.
Если ты занимаешься независимой политической деятельностью, то тебя могут посадить.
He had long since proved himself to be one of the greatest threats to the Kremlin's grip on power since the rise of Vladimir Putin.
Есть ли законная власть в Кремле? Мы здесь власть.
A lawyer by education, he found his true calling in fighting corruption, ultimately establishing his anti-corruption foundation in 2011. But it was with anti-government protests following that year's election that Navalny rose to prominence, even running for Moscow mayor 2 years later. He'd just been convicted for embezzlement at the time in a trial many called politically motivated. It earned him a suspended sentence, and the fraud charge would come back to haunt him. It saw him barred from running in the 2018 presidential election. Throwing himself further into his anti-corruption work, his foundation would draw increasing repression from authorities, with hefty fines ultimately forcing it to close down. Then came the poisoning that drew the entire world's attention. Navalny suddenly fell ill on a flight over Siberia. An emergency landing saved his life, and he was ultimately transferred to Germany, where scientists identified the nerve agent Novichok as the cause of his collapse. Still, he vowed to return to Russia.
Те люди, которые сейчас обиделись на то, что они меня все-таки не убили, и я выжил, и теперь угрожают меня посадить.
His prediction proved accurate. On landing, Navalny was immediately arrested and quickly sentenced to a penal colony for violating the terms of his previously suspended sentence. Still, he remained defiant.
Не являются хозяевами нашей страны и никогда не будут являться. И огромное количество людей, десятки миллионов людей согласны со мной.
In March 2022, he was sentenced to an additional 9 years, where he endured repeated spells in solitary confinement. His lawyer said he was denied adequate medical care and his health deteriorated. All the while, Alexei Navalny continued to call on his supporters and fellow Russians to denounce Putin's war on Ukraine in defiance of a government ban on protests. The Kremlin responded by intensifying its crackdown on dissenting voices, sending hundreds to prison or forced exile. With the death of the figurehead of the Russian opposition, the movement itself is on the verge of extinction.